Hello everyone and welcome to this Notion video. In this video I'm going to go into how to create your own language learning dashboard where you can track your progress and store any kind of information related to your language learning project. So let me get out of the way and let's dive in. And I've been using Notion for the past 2-3 months as a tracker for my entire life. I track daily statistics like sleep and weight, and I also use it for goals, projects, any kind of information storage, basically everything you can imagine. And I was deeply inspired by a guy called August Bradley, who you can check out in the link description below, to set up this system called PPV. But this isn't really the scope of this video, as that is a huge project and undertaking. But I did want to share this quick kind of language learning nod to it, because I think this is a really helpful tool to stay on track for your language learning, and also to keep a record of everything involved in the language learning process that you want to save. So the problem usually with apps for this is that you need a few of them to do what I'm going to show you today. And the problem with language learning is that as soon as it gets a little bit complicated to track what you're doing, then you can kind of quickly lose track of how much you've done, how well you're doing, and that can lead to burnout or losing interest because you feel like you're not progressing, even though you might have been doing some hours over time. This video is also inspired by my friend Robin, who's made a little Notion video of his own about language learning, and Lindy Botez as well. So link to those two in the description below, just for you to get some ideas on how they use Notion, which is different from mine, although we do have some overlap. But in this video, I'm going to show you this learner dashboard, and then I'll spend the next video, or maybe a couple of videos, depending on what you guys would like to see, about how to actually set this up. But it's pretty simple, so you might be able to replicate it with just this video. And I will, of course, include the template below as well if you want to just copy it. But there are some advantages to actually building it from scratch, so you understand how all the things are working. But let's dive into sort of the fundamentals. Okay, so a dashboard, that is the homepage for your language learning. And you could have a super dashboard for all your language learning. And then this one, which is an example of a specific language, for instance, I'm learning Portuguese, where you could put this dashboard into the super dashboard, and then you can access it from there, which is, if you're learning multiple languages or you're an aspiring polyglot, that makes a lot of sense. And I'll be happy to show you that in a future video and how that can be set up very easily. It just follows the same principles as here. But for the intent of this video, we're just doing one dashboard for one language. So the kind of core function is that we want to track every day how much we did in this language. And the best way to do that is to have every day be a database. And this is the advantage of Notion over other note-taking apps. You know, in Evernote, for instance, you could have every day be a note or every note be a day, but you couldn't refer back to them easily. It would just be like note after note. But in this way, we can actually have those kind of databases that are needed to create what I'm about to show you. So we have this thing called a daily tracker. And this daily tracker you fill out every day, and I'll show you in the dashboard where you do that. But it just has a few basic information. Like right now, I've as an example, I've included the Portuguese hours, and there's a second language here, Swedish hours. And you can see every day you just create a new page, and you just type in here, today I did 1.75 hours of Portuguese, and I did half an hour of Swedish. So you kind of just log every day. And this is a very quick one. You could have a much more extended one, because you can have a template down here. So you could have journaling, daily prompts, or bullet journaling, any kind of journal or thing you want to do every day. I actually do this for my database about my life. I can't show you that. That's got a little bit too much personal stuff in there, but just imagine this, but for your whole life instead. So it has a lot of things to input, but this is just for the language learning. So we put that in there. And now the cool part is that this, is, as I showed you, is a page. So if you have a lesson on November 16th, you could type all your notes here. And then if you ever want to go back to those, they're in there for you. You'll also see that it links to the month database. So as you guessed, every month is also an item. And what that means is you can go into each month and you can do a review based on what you did that month. So for every day that we have in the day tracker, they all get a month as well. And that means when we get to the month, we can actually summarize the data. So for instance, here we have 2 days in November. I haven't done much. I mean, this is just a demo, but imagine you've studied 2 days and then it pulls in what is the total of these 2 days. So I studied 4 hours of Portuguese and 1.5 hours of Swedish. And in the month databases, you could have a monthly review, for example. So let's say we get into December and you want to see how you did in November. Well, you can get the numbers right here and you can write down your thoughts here. And you can also start the month by including some goals for that month. And of course, all months also lead to years, which is why you can do your yearly reviews and yearly goals. And all these things are basically designed to keep you on track with your language learning. Because if you can't really track your progress, it can get pretty hard. But it also allows you all this space to put thoughts or notes or whatever you want, really, all about language learning. So it could be vocabulary, it could be lessons, it could be videos, it could be audios, images, whatever you want to add. There's a lot of space here. So now that you understand that everything is connected to a day, connected to a month, connected to a year, you understand this next bit. So the next bit is that we have a daily tracker. So every day when we wake up or sometime when we get started with our daily activities, we just create a new day and we just call it whatever the day is, like November 25. And you would pick the date here as well. Unfortunately, you do have to do this both places. And then we hit the month, which is November, of course. And then you type in how many hours you did. So you can fill this out in the morning before you start and just finish it later, or you can wait until the evening and then finish it there. And this is filtered. So if you filled it out, then it won't show here. This is just where you enter it. So now it will appear here instead in the daily tracker. But then that's the way to add a new day. This over here is just for quick notes. So there's a notes database for Portuguese. And, if you want to save a clip or there's a URL here. If you want to do a lesson note, let's say you had a Portuguese lesson, you can put the tutor's name here. That could also be a database, by the way. That's something you can experiment with later. There's a little choice here, what kind of resource you're adding. And of course, you have infinite amount of space here for notes and videos and everything. And over here, we just have some daily kind of motivation, like why am I even doing this? And I find that having this, when you open up the daily kind of dashboard, helps you stay on track. And you can put your goals, you can put your daily targets, or why do you want to learn this language? Down here is just some admin. And these are basically the databases that follow these up here. So if you ever need to go into them directly and see all the entries or filter or anything, you can do so. And down here we have the calendar view. So that basically gives you sort of a high level view of how your language learning is going. So ideally, you'd like to see one of these boxes on each day or however many days you want to learn. But it also gives you a sort of at a glance, okay, and you can see these are the 2 languages that I added. Of course, you could just have one language and you just see one number. In fact, I could do that here in the filter, so I don't have to show this one. And then you can see, okay, half an hour, 1.75 hours, 2.3 hours. And it gives you this idea of how things are going. If there's like a big gap or if there's like a lot of 15-minute days or something, then maybe you need to get back to your goals. So that's basically it. And this is an extremely basic version of a dashboard, but I think this is very easy to use. And I think it gives you the maximum benefits in terms of staying on track for your learning and also having sort of a record for what you've been doing, a place to put your goals in. So let's say you're looking ahead for the next month, then you can put in your goals in the month. Once the month is over, you go back and revisit the goals and compare how you did with the daily tracking. And I think the daily tracking is really a game changer for most people. It definitely is for me. I feel like every day when I'm exposed to my kind of daily goals or just the things I'm supposed to be doing, that reminder really keeps me on track. So let me know what you'd like to see more about this dashboard style language learning Notion series, or if it's clear enough, maybe you can replicate it like this. I will include the template below, and otherwise enjoy it and have a good time studying languages. We're coming up to the winter season when this video is coming out, so this is a great time to bunker up a bit and study some languages, global pandemics or not. So I hope you enjoyed this little video, and I'll see you in the next one.